You said you can see it with the face-off at the weigh-in. You can always look into someone's eyes. You love to smell them, but you knew this guy was going to be. He was there for it. Like he wasn't going to pull out.
You know, everyone know. Like as a fighters will know that. You know, like the idea. You look into a guy's eyes and you'll see he's kind of like he's trying to smile to you, or he's trying to make this human connection with you. And it's like, don't let that happen. I say as a fighter, keep that strange. Because that keeps the chemicals in the right place, and it keeps you in a place where you're sharp and you're ready to do the business. So when I'm looking at somebody in the eye and he's looking at me the same way, it's like, oh shit, you know, I know, you know. You know what I mean? But you can get some guys that walk up and they're like trying to shake your hand. You're like, get that out of here. And people go, that's so disrespectful. It's not, because that's what makes me fight. And some people do shake hands, and that makes them feel like this is a friends thing. Where to me, when I was getting in there, it was a ceremony. It was a spiritual thing. It was, yes, we're stepping into Elysium here or something, you know. And you close that door, and whatever happens, happens. And people looking in and like, hey, that's so cool. It's crazy. It's just so weird to look at, say, myself walking in there and know that mind frame and know what I was thinking at them times, because you have to do this. And with Louis Smolka, that fight was, as I said, I thought I had him in the first 30 seconds of that fight, and I literally panicked a little bit. I said to myself, oh my God, I'm going to submit him right here, right now. I went to lift the Kimura, and I don't know how it happened, but he just stood up. He stood up in it, and it's like, I finished this move all the time. I took his back, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to finish him. And then I didn't. Now, looking back, as a coach, my game plan going into that fight should have been to be aware of his resilience, to go even more with the flow. So when the submission isn't there, don't be disheartened by it. When the exchange isn't there, don't be disheartened with it, because I was winning. And that's basically it. And listen, I got tired, and that's what happened. I got tired. Everything just crashed. The whole world came crashing in on me in a few moments, in them weeks wheeling up. I had so much, like 7 hours more media obligations put on top of what I had already. Days to go, making weight. Nobody cares. And that's it. And you're walking out of this arena, and when you read it, it probably wasn't my perfect performance in the dressing room either from the team that was around me. I wasn't like I was the first time, Richie. And I felt like when I went in there, I didn't give myself the best chance to be able to, like, if I had won that fight and then had to retire after it, it would have been like, you know, and astronomical. But it's still there, and it's one of these things that has made me and kept me grounded, and it is what it is. And hats off to Louis Smolka, because what he did with the money was he went home and he put a deposit on his family's house. I put all of the money into SBG Dublin 24, and that's what I'm doing with it. So two young fellas met on one part of an island, fought each other, put it all on the line, and then went off and used that money to fix that family and do what they had to do. And to me, that's amazing, you know. Fighting is fighting, and results are results, but they are results.
Well, losing is part of MMA. Like, do you tell your coaches that? I don't know the win-or-learn thing. You've got your own viewpoint on that.
The win-or-learn thing to me was always good. It was really good in a training environment. In the idea of, like, you win and you learn in a training environment. But I could never use it when I was going to a cage to fight, because the idea to me was, it was like, you either come home with your shield or on it. That's the one I used. I'd actually heard of the win or learn before John had made it famous. It was actually Nelson Mandela that said it at the first, and it was the idea to do with what was going on at the country at the time. I remember reading a book in it, and I remember, like, even having that when it came up, the idea of, like, I thought about this before, you know. My grandfather would have taught me so much stuff about legends and really good poets and guys that had defended their country and fought for the honour of their nation and stuff. And he would have taught me all about this. And I remember thinking about that saying before at the same time. So to me, it was always about, literally, I had no place in my heart for losing. And like what you said there, in the idea of, like, losing is part of MMA. I think the original lads that came up, that didn't belong in their vocabulary. Did it not? Do you want to hear them? Oh, will I? That didn't belong in their vocabulary. We didn't know what that meant. There was no such.
Think of that. You had to focus on winning only.
There was no room for losing. If you lost, you slid off a ladder and died in your head. That's the way it was. You didn't make it. And the mad thing is, so many people put thousands of hours in as well alongside us, and they didn't make it. So we've seen that happening. So the people that you see, there was more of us. There was a lot more of us. And we just happened to be the ones that cracked the egg at that time and broke through. And we owe what we have to everyone else as well. The people like Owen Roddy, the people like Tom King, Chris Fields, Tommy Martin, the people that literally took the shots at them. Like we owe a lot to each other as well.
So Paddy, I don't want to ruin the book, so I'm not going to go into the retirement and everything around that, but we'll fast forward to the politics. So just tell us about the election day. You pulling fellas out of their beds and everything to vote.
Won't be the first time. My mad thing about that was that I was so eager, not even to get people to vote for me, but to get people to vote. To get rid of this attitude that we have in this country that voting doesn't matter, or it won't make a difference. It definitely won't make a difference, because the people who are winning the votes for the last 100 years, the same two parties that have been passing the power, have left us here. Whatever side we're all on in this room, this is where we are now. And all we have to do is, this was a toilet in a centre somewhere. You know the timesheet that you sign in? It's Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and the Jackson's in bits. All right? So it doesn't take a scientist to work out what's going wrong here. So the idea of getting people to vote was a bigger part for me, to make people realise that, do you understand what's going on? People that when you don't vote, they're sitting there laughing at you. We need, in my housing estate, we need to teach our youth to vote and the reason of voting. Because in other housing estates, when the vote does come down and it swings, they know how to vote. It's a day, and and there's nothing against different classes or something like that. I mean we're all classes. But the thing is that we were made to believe that we are all different classes in a way. When we're not, we're all human, and the thing that changes classes is houses and money and all of that other bullshit that, when I said at the start, you will not be going with you when you die, that's the realism of that. So dragging people out of bed, getting them to vote was not just a vote for me. Did mention it though. But bringing them up to vote, bringing people on my road that would have threw me out of a garden as a kid up to vote and all, it was amazing. It was a mad situation, it was. And it was it was strange.
I'm going to finish on this before we open the floor up to questions. So it's important for me to achieve things that can never be taken away from me. I earned the first leaving cert in my family. I was the first Irishman to win a UFC fight on Irish soil. I was definitely the first haemophiliac on the entire planet crazy enough to fight professionally in the octagon. Now here I am, elected to public office after coming first in the polls. Paddy, it's an incredible story, so thanks very much for sharing it.
Thanks so much to Richie. Richie was a huge guidance in this. Couldn't have did it without this man.
Do we have any questions from the crowd for Paddy?
Here's something I want to say right before nobody asks a question first, because I get to do these things a lot and nobody puts their hands up. There's a thing called social camouflage, all right? And it's something that we wear to blend into a room full of people to make it feel like we're all the same. Why would you do that? You know? So don't live your life with social camouflage. When you get a chance to take that social camouflage off, take it off and voice your opinion, even if sometimes it's stupid, because you'll start to see that you'll get answers more and you'll be taken more serious. And I say this to kids in schools all over the country, and it's like, yeah, because everyone's afraid to answer the question, ask the question, you know? Give us a question, Adam. My two sons, for sure. Yeah, my family, anybody that has a kid, it's absolutely amazing. It's the most special moment of your whole life. Like, the last time we were driving towards the Kiln, I was like, it's like we were going, I was 16 again, we were going somewhere with a bag of cans and a radio. I was like, this is going to be deadly. I can't really remember it, but I know that this is going to be mental. And it was that feeling, and then the idea of when Seamus comes into the world, and it's like, bam, it's just like bliss. It's absolutely amazing. And my hats are off to Chelsea. Women are absolutely so strong. It's incredible what they do. But my greatest achievement is my partner in crime would be Chelsea.
Anyone else?
So the podcast kind of took the wheels with that. That's actually a good question. The podcast took the wheels with that, and the idea of like when I started talking to people that were supposed to know what they were doing, they didn't, and it was like talking to it was like talking to like, I don't know, traditional martial artists or something about MMA. You're like, oh my God, this lad doesn't know what he's talking about. He's been doing it 20 years, and that's what started happening to me with the podcast. And then the idea was I didn't ask for it, but Mary Lou had made contact with Cottle, and I'd met Mary Lou, and like, listen, I've been a Republican since I was a kid. I've been a Shinner since I was a kid. I grew up on the main streets of Belfast as well, you know. Like, and
your name is Patrick Pierce
Patrick Pierce Holohan, yeah. And I was born on the anniversary of his execution. So people say to me, oh, you jumped out of the cage and now you're a Shinner. It's like, no, mate, it doesn't work like that. I've been a Republican all of my life, and I believe in the spirit of the idea of standing up for our nation. Now, I feel like I can add to this call, or I can add a little bit of like, I can translate for my people, if you must, what's actually going on. So if we looked at this country at the moment, well, give me 2-3 minutes here, right? I'll answer this. So they go on and on about in economic growth. The economy's growing. We've got like one of the top growing economies in Europe, right? And you'll Google it, and you'll see all of the charts coming up, and you'll see Leo standing beside them with his pictures and all of this kind of stuff. But put in economic development. Economic development is the one that matters, because that's the one that matters to whether we have houses or whether we have healthcare or the workers doing well or the unions being listened to for the workers. Like, they don't listen to our unions in this country. Like, think about it. The nurses went all on strike, and I was like, what are you doing? Get back to work out of that. And they had to, because there's patients in there, and they turned the media and all on them. And so my idea is that I can see this happening. And now I'm in a little bit of a platform that I can say this. And would it be weird to sit here and say, I know this sounds mental, that I could be the president of Ireland? If I sat in Jobstown as that kid that maybe just took that hiding at that time, and I said that I would be sitting here doing this, that would have more odds on it than me going being the president of Ireland. We have people now that are in situations that if this was a football club, we make money. This is what this country's like. We make money as a football club, but we're getting relegated every single year. And that's what it's like in simple terms. And that's what we're sitting back on. We feel like we can't do anything about it. I cannot be on the other side of history, Cottle, where Tiernan turns around to me, or Seamus says to me and says, Dad, I'm learning about this thing in school where they privatised all the houses and they gave it to the developers and they ripped off all the people, robbed all their money, all the houses that they paid back to the bank. They actually took them houses back off them and sold them to vultures. Where were you when all that was happening? I was there, son. I was in the council. I was there fighting that front line. That's where I was. And that's what I have to do. That's what I said. I'm a Republican since the start. And I have to do that. It's in my name. It's a Hooligan. It means proud man. And I know that my grandfather wouldn't be able to look at me and say, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So we have to be here doing this. And if it ended up as the president of Ireland, to me, that's the person that should be getting listened to. That should be telling all these boys, he's the manager. Stop doing that. Stop. You get your act together. But these boys walk around and do whatever they want. No one cares. And the papers don't write about them.
That's a good answer.
Long answer. What's your question?
Yeah, there's one at the back there, Oisin.
Tell us about the rap career. You made that headline today, didn't you? Yeah. My mates will tell you that as well.
Give us a rap.
My friends call me Cas because my skin's so pale. But I can't have I was born this way. And we done an album and all, didn't we, Adam? Yeah, best album ever, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. It was terrible. Don't say that. Yeah, you better not have it somewhere. Robin lost it anyway. He lost it on his hard drive. So, that was the story about the rap career. It just didn't kick off.
Don't know why.
I don't know why. Oh, that's what it was, Adam, wasn't it? Listen, it's good to see people that are actually doing it these days, you know, like, and they're doing a good job of it. Like Maverick Sabre from Ireland, like, as a musician, like, people that are going up and doing them artistic kind of things. The Irish people are made for it. Like, even listening to Cottle's accent in the films that he's been doing, and it's amazing. Like, I love it. It's like the Dublin accent in something is brilliant, and we need to use that as a chisel when we go to other countries. Story, mate. Everyone wants to talk to you. Use it as a chisel, you know what I mean? To kind of break down them barriers. Good man.
I think Robin has one there as well.
Robin, the producer of the podcast, of the No Shame podcast. Robin is an absolute legend, and the amount of work he goes into is amazing. Please just give him a round of applause for that. Well, go. What's the question? Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah. We would have got on him. So I'll tell you the story. So I was about 10, and me and my mate Stephen Dunn decided to buy a horse, right? But I wasn't able to go to Smithfield, but he was going to Smithfield, and yes, we used to buy horses at the time. And what we did is we put scratching poles up out my back garden, collected potatoes and all the stuff you do, carrots and all the stuff that horses eat. And yeah, we didn't have any mad about it, Robin. But the next day, Stephen Dunn knocks on me door with a horse. All right, it's Paddy. It's like, what are you doing with that horse? We're sticking it out your back, missus. You know, so. And as I said, my man was kind of cool in a way when you think of it. Like, am I opening up to the door with a horse today? Don't do that, Tiernan. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm strapping you to the horse and I'll be slapping him. Yeah. So what we would have did, right, Ron, we would have looked after the horse, and at the time, and still do it in council housing estates, and people look at it as like, that's weird. It's very therapeutic to be around an animal as a kid, and that's known to help people. And that used to be the way to do it. You'd go up and you'd look after the horse in the field, and you'd give him the best of treatment you could, and that was it. It was like a little bond with it. But the horses were all over Tala back in the day, you know. All right, horse.
You said you were a fighter stuck in a jockey's body. Were you getting into horse racing, nah?
Oh, stop. Do you know what the mad thing was? Having this conversation about MMA, and people go on about MMA being, how did you do it as like with hemophilia and with all this kind of stuff? And I'm like I could have been a jockey, and to me, MMA, there's been a lot less injuries in MMA than there has been in horse riding and racing. Now, I'm not getting at them sports. I don't know anything about that. But I have been in a spinal unit before. I have spent a few weeks there, and most of the people there were jockeys. And I think I could be a jockey. You know what I mean? I think I could probably get the medical and be a jockey. But I want to fight a man in a cage for money, and you can't, you know. But that's how it goes, fortunately.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on your retirement, but I suppose, how does it feel being a coach now and watching your own fighters flourish? Like, is it tougher seeing them go, or is it somewhat you're living kind of through them?
Oh, it's amazing, because we're going through a phase now, and I remember us going through it. Like, I remember like when me and Ash and Cottle and everyone was going through, like, there's a phase where it's just hard, where it's just not going right. Because everyone in the room, what they're doing is they're actually gathering experience, and they're kind of like, it'd be like loads of blunt blades rubbing off each other at the start, and then they go and sharpen themselves, and then they sharp blades, and then all of a sudden the sharp blades start sharpening each other, and then it's good, you know? So it's not one of these situations where somebody goes, I'm going to roll in and then I'm going to leave, and I'm not into that, you know what I mean? I'm into the development, I'm into the idea of us moving forward together, and I really feel like, listen, if we made it, if we can do it when there was no such thing as weight divisions, like when Ash was training to fight in the UFC, there was no females, let alone the weight division in it. So she was kind of training for something that didn't even exist at the time. That's amazing. I still don't get over that sometimes. And I'm like, you're like probably like, oh shit, actually I was, yeah. You know what I mean? But it paid off, so it's hard. If you want to be a footballer, there's a road to that. If you want to, we just happen to be the guys that paved that road for these little kids that are growing up now, and adults that want to be fighters, that want to do what we did and do it the way we did. And I will go on a limb and say that the dream is the UFC. The dream when you wake up and you want to be a fighter is the UFC. And that's what we want to help people do now. So I want to help people do that, but not only through that, I want the kids that don't get a look in places, I want to bring them in, and I want to show them that it's magic. The people that don't believe in themselves, say the guys that are a little bit insecure, they're a little bit older, and they're kind of lost in that little pool of life. Come in, do some jiu-jitsu, and I promise your life will get better. It's like a social community, you know, and it's that's been a huge part of what I'm doing, a huge energy source of that, and passing it on to all you guys now that train with me and watching you linger with each other and trying to make you not make the mistakes that are very obvious to me but won't be so obvious to you at the moment. But I won't say when you get older, I won't say that, but kind of, you know what I mean, in a way.
I'll have to push you now. Do you miss it?
Yeah, I really do. Do you know what I miss? I miss the team. I miss the camaraderie. I miss somebody about being around all you guys all the time. Richie Smullen, Tommy, Blaine, Artem, all of the boys. Ash. I miss it so much. Like, because the thing is, I was doing it for the right reasons. I was doing it for the reason. It was to change my family's life. But I found something. It was like I jumped on a skateboard and I'm like, oh, I'm good at this. I can do this. You know, and not only that, I'm mentally built for this. Like, time started to go forward in my life where I was like I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in like anything, but I'm spiritual. As Father Martin sitting there, one of my school chaplains is here today. He was at my first ever grappling match where I grappled a guy out in Santry somewhere or something, wasn't it? And I was grappling and he was there, and like me and him, he's probably one of my best friends as well. And the idea is that I'm spiritual. He says to me, he's the one who says this to me more than anybody else. You're spiritual. In the idea that I can sense what's going on. I can sense what's coming about things, you know. And when I see everyone getting built up and all, it's like, and I'll be like, I say, for an alcoholic watching somebody drinking cans or something, you know. That's what it feels like. What does it taste like? Give us a sniff. It's hard, you know what I mean? It's hard. I think that mindset, because you like, we played football together many years ago in Drimmen Celtic, and it was mad, because then years later, like, we met back through each other through Connor. This is Connor's mate. So, and it was mental. So, hello. We knew each other, so we kind of, and we were the same people then, and we were able to recognise that. You've gone on to do mass successful things, and you've travelled around the world with Connor as well, and you see the mindset that it takes and that it develops. It creates a mindset. It's like anything. If you, like, your ears in fighting, you get cauliflower ears from fighting. If you put your body in a situation, it will start to evolve to that environment. And that's what your mind does. Now, I'm standing in a room with people that have very, very little real life experience. Not this room, obviously, because the goose is here, and, you know, there's loads here. There's loads of life experience here. But in the chamber, there's not that much life experience. It's a lot of people that know a lot of stuff that they've been taught from a lot of books. And I won't stay away from that, but experience is everything. And the mindset of, like, when I'm seeing someone over there and I know he's not being true, I said it in an interview, it was like, he's either a bullshitter or a hitter when you look him in the eyes. And that's it. So when you look him in the eyes, you're like, a talking pony, mate. Or you can tell someone that, like, people that I would have, like, say, Fianna Fáil councillors, they would have stood up and said something, and I would have been like, holy shit, I had you wrote off. I would have thought that you were different. But they're talking about passion, and they're talking about, like, homelessness, and I can tell that they're real. And there's a good chance they'll be Sinn Féin in a little while. I'm only messing, but if they won't go far in Fianna Fáil, they keep talking about that helping people stuff.
I know we're a bit caught for time now, so just the last question, Paddy. If you're 31, you have a book out. There's obviously going to be another one. Can I write it now? But what will your legacy be?
I want to give more than I took. I want to help people with the lessons that I've learned, and the people that have came with me. There's people that I've looked up to on this journey, that are in this journey, and I still look up to so much, you know. And the idea is that now they would ask me for advice at times, and I'd be like, oh shit, excited about it. But the idea is I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to be the realest motherfucker that can be, you know, and say it how it is. I'm getting better at the idea of knowing when to fight them battles as well, because you need to be careful. It's not easy to go around these days and have freedom of speech and say what you want to say, you know. A great line that I'll end this on is from the chimp paradox. It's the idea of this is a talk that I do in all the schools. I do it in prisons, and when I go in and do it, so there's actually a lad that was at one the other night, and he's here, and he was like, listen, I came because I seen that stuff you did the other night, and now I'm here again for more of it.
Did he break out of prison?
No, you know what I mean? Yeah. Don't worry, Tony, we'll have you back on C-Wing before you know it. You know, the saying is, the ability to manage your impulsive chimp will ultimately determine how successful you will be. And that's life.
Brilliant. I'd like to finish by giving a round of applause to Paddy. Excellent. just thanks very much to Gil as well, and to Pete and everybody that's helped make this a reality. Paul Fogarty as well, especially for putting us together. So thanks, enjoy the night, and we'll be sticking around anyway. Cheers.